guys, Danjix here, back with another Cyberpunk 2077 video. Today we're covering some pretty significant details that'll get you even more pumped for the game, if you can believe it. I know many of you are ready to burst already, but listen to this. You might not even need to finish the game to finish the game. What do I mean? Well, I'll discuss that soon, as well as more on Pacifist runs, robbing convoys, the game's length, plot armor, and more. So, if you want to see more, do the standard YouTube stuff. Thanks again to the 5% of you. Recently, Cyberpunk's lead quest designer, Paweł Sasko, was interviewed by a Polish website, Spider's Web, which was translated by VG247. He had some extremely interesting things to say. The first and most notable is that players will be able to complete the game without finishing the main storyline. This is dependent on finishing particular side missions that make this possible. Sasko says, roughly translated, "We built the Cyberpunk structure based on the conclusions we drew from The Witcher 3. The Witcher had a main stem of history and side threads departing from it, and this was our main structure, which we call the ear. So in Cyberpunk structure, we have this Wheatspike, which serves as its center, the main storyline with different subplots surrounding it, which can be triggered in various ways. Those subplots allow us to do something that we've never done before. They change the main plot of the game, and they're doing it in such a way that you may not need to even finish the main plot, but still finish the game and get a completely different epilogue than the player with a different life path who made different choices, met different characters and formed different relationships with them. You may have noticed that depending on which story origin you chose, Jackie's story changed. This is one example of the fact that depending on the chosen path of origin, as a character you were born in a different place, you have a different story, and therefore both Jackie's story and your relationship with him was different. This is a bit of a butterfly effect. This is one example where right at the beginning, your choice defines what your world would look like in the game. For those that Sasko lost, he's basically saying that, like a Wheatspike, you have the main branch, the main story. At a point, you may deviate off the branch and finish the story with a side mission line. This is all sounding extremely complicated to develop, and the more complicated it sounds, the less I want to get my hopes up. But if true, this means we will have a real choose-your-own-adventure style video game, where if you choose the wrong or right option, it could lead down a path that ends at a different point than intended. Let's say the mainland mission has you wanting to kill a particular man. Perhaps you go on a side mission and discover some new allies. Those allies could end up getting you killed or having you meet the man you wish to kill and join him, changing what the main line would have been. So for those who want to see every possible outcome and find every possible bit of dialogue, the game is going to be quite a mouthful. This also means that Sasko has no idea how long it will take for you to beat the game. If you play a solo style build with all guns blazing, you'll finish it before someone who prefers to go stealth or the pacifist route. Sasko says it's the most complicated structure they've made, but the main line won't drag on as much as Witcher 3's. Sasko does again confirm that you can get through the game without a single kill. All the major choices, all the bosses, elite opponents can be gotten through without killing anyone. Sometimes fights can't be avoided, and in that case, you can neutralize without killing. In the case of the Maelstrom Gang mission, you have a 12 potential paths. Yeah, you heard right, 12 paths for a single mission. We have seen guns blazing, blowing his head off, but we haven't seen 12. One of the paths is, of course, paying for the bot and leaving without bloodshed. But that raises the question, will some NPCs have plot armor? Sasko addresses that as well. He says, "It will be best if we look at The Witcher 3. We adopted a similar methodology and we used that to work on Cyberpunk. In the case of the most important characters for the player's characters, there's no moment for them to become our adversary or die for some reason. However, we have such a philosophy that if the player feels he should naturally be able to perform some action, we try to enable him. I think the perfect example is the All Foods factory where you meet Royce. There we try to telegraph to the player that almost at any moment he can reach for a weapon and go the combat path, only if he wants to, and finish the quest like this. We approach it from the plot side. If as a player you feel like you want to perform this particular action, it's usually possible. When you meet Jackie, he's your friend and his intentions are purely social, and he's a character who supports you. Then obviously the game doesn't allow you to attack him at that moment because it doesn't make much sense and it would not lead to the game becoming more interesting or cooler. This is one of our design principles. We always try to design the game so that the choices that the player can make always lead to the fact that the game is fun and interesting. As a player, I am potentially unable to make choices that will make me have a bad time. Killing important romance, story-related characters usually leads to this, and I, as a player, could make the game less fun than players I see, for example on YouTube, or a journalist who tells me what his perspective was. We try to build the game so that this philosophy is always visible. So I hope this makes sense. It's very loosely translated. If you remember the game The Outer Worlds, it let you kill literally everybody you meet except one person. If you do this, the game was fun for a bit, but it was significantly shorter because of it, and you truly miss out on what the title has to offer. So in Cyberpunk 2077, some NPCs will have plot armor because it makes sense at the given time. One of which is confirmed to be Jackie, who you as a character would have absolutely no reason to kill, unless of course you're a psychopath, and in which case there's no real reason to play a game like Cyberpunk. Go play Valiant and drop $200 on the Dragon Gun skin. Jokes aside, if you add the ability to kill anyone and the Wheatspike story structure together, it sounds like an impossible development task, even just from a storyboarding perspective, unless of course the game was an hour long. Like mentioned, the life path you choose has a drastic impact on the rest of your story. Sasko explained that choosing this path means you have defined who you are, and they kept this in mind all throughout the game. An example is when you choose Corpo, you have an extra choice when speaking to Meredith Stout, which lets you call her out on having a virus on the chip. Then you can choose to tell the gangsters about the virus, which they will be grateful for. This is a path that you can't take as Nomad or Street Kid. This path has consequences later that you wouldn't reap as a Nomad or a Street Kid. But if you play it as Nomad, you could obtain Convoy signatures, as Nomads specialize in robbing them. This reminds me of the Fast and Furious 1, robbing trucks on the road with souped up cars. You can steal these signatures and use it to trigger another path in the mission. The overall feel to the start and the outcome of the quest will be very different if you had to rob a convoy before it. So Sasko says, we as designers always try to look at it this way, be able to give you as a player the role of roleplay. These various possibilities associated with the chosen path do not give you a completely different ending, but by sticking to this particular life path, specific path of origin, as a nomad you'll meet people similar to you. It's the same with other life paths. They all have custom, specifically prepared epilogues. What is important is that you can change your paths. Playing as Street Kid or Corpo, you can start working with the nomads, continue it throughout the game, and end the game as a nomad. But when you play as a nomad and end your game as a nomad, you'll get extra tracks and elements. This shows that there are a lot of these layers. So hopefully that makes sense. If you want to start your path as a dirty Corpo, but transition into redemption as a Street Kid fighting the power, you can. Vice versa, you can indenture yourself as a Corpo agent after starting your life on the streets. This is yet some more branching paths and added elements. Obviously, I'll be covering each path and all the options on my channel. All this choice is making me drool as a gamer, but as a YouTuber, it's making me panic. I've got a lot of work ahead of me, people, and I couldn't be more excited. When approaching how you create your character, you have freedom to be what you want, be it a masculine body with a feminine voice, or a masculine voice with a feminine body. However, those choices will affect those around you. If you chose a feminine voice, you'll be treated as such in dialogue. If you chose a male body, you'll have options romantically with those who are interested in such a body. Sasko says, the characters you meet in the game have their own preferences. It's not no matter who you are or what you are, no matter what your body, your voice, or your genitals are, you'll be meeting characters who can fall in love with you and make friends with you. These characters have specific preferences, and sometimes they will like you and sometimes they will not. You as a player, by making your choices, will build an individual story with these characters and you can interact with them or not. Thanks to this, you'll be able to create your own individual story and relationship with that particular character. Whether that will lead to a friendship or a romantic relationship is in your hands. So the major takeaway from all of this is that you can be who you want and play how you want in Cyberpunk 2077 with a huge amount of choice and ultimately lots of resulting outcomes to those choices. I really hope you're as excited for this title as I am. So thanks for watching, guys. What do you think about all this info? Let me know below, and don't forget to drop me a like and sub if you haven't already. The link to my competition to win a copy of Cyberpunk 2077 is still going on and will be drawn before release. Stay tuned and I'll be back with more things Cyberpunk very soon. Ciao, friends.